Hello, my name is Frederick Afrifa. I am a full-time speaker and I make these videos so that you don't have to pay thousands of pounds for courses that simply aren't going to help you. Now, one of the number one questions that I get as a speaker when people want to get into speaking, they say, what am I going to speak about? And this is actually one of the most important things to think about because people assume that if you are going to be sharing your story, then the name of your topic should be your story. But actually, that isn't the case. There are 5 topics that most speakers get booked for, and these are the 5 topics. The top 5 topics that typically get booked are artificial intelligence, leadership, change, resilience, and sustainability. The reason why that's really important to understand is because your topic, high key, just needs to be one of those 5. When speaking to these corporates, to these event organizers, they speak in topics. And if your topic isn't one of these 5, then they're not really likely going to book you. They're only going to book a motivational speaker, so someone that's only going to do motivation at a high level if they're famous. If they're not famous, you need to be in one of these 5 categories. Now, within these 5 categories, then you can have your unique point of difference, meaning that if, for example, you are a well-being speaker, you can tackle the well-being speech in your particular way, telling your story, speaking about burnout, speaking about resilience. But the topic has to be well-being because an organizer is going to say, we're looking for a well-being speaker. And if you do not fit that brief, you're not getting the gig. So one of the most important things to understand when asking yourself, what topics do I want to speak about, is researching the topics that you can potentially speak about. Now, I gave you the top 5. What you can simply do is go on your AI, maybe ChatGPT, and then speak to it. Tell it your story and then say, according to my story, what topic do you think would be relevant as a title for my speech? Once you have that, then you can reach out to agencies, then you can reach out to event organizers, and then you can actually start getting booked for the gigs that you want. I know what you're saying through the camera, you're screaming at me and you're saying, but what if the thing that you want to speak about or the thing that you're really passionate about doesn't fit within these 5? Well, the harsh truth is that what you need to do is twist what you want to speak about and make it fit into these. Now, if the title, for example, is well-being, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do a well-being speech. You could speak about good habits. You could speak about your journey overcoming burnout. You could speak about your experiences from sports person to a corporate entrepreneur. But what it has to be is under that well-being banner. Or if you're thinking about leadership, you don't have to be someone that's run a company for X amount of years to have your unique take on leadership, because perhaps you have lived experience or you've worked with people that have demonstrated leadership. And ultimately, you have to remember that a lot of the times to really get booked, you need to have some tangible takeaways that the audience can have. Else, you're not going to get the opportunity. Or if you do get the opportunity, you're not going to get another one. The topic of the talk has to be generic, but then the title and the content can be and should be unique. And that's the mistake that people often make. They try and think of a very unique topic, but actually a unique topic doesn't get booked. You need a generic topic, but then you need a unique point of difference for that same topic. Ultimately, if you think that you've created something that no one's ever thought of, you probably don't know much about history, because we haven't created anything new under the sun. What we have is our own unique perspective on something that the world has known about for a really, really long time. And always remember that. Just try and present your unique perspective on a topic that has been around for ages. When I'm speaking about you have to twist your presentation and your story into those topics, what we're speaking about here is positioning. When it comes to speaking, or when it comes to business in general, your positioning is everything. Let's talk about positioning. There's a simple framework that I want to teach you called the 3C framework for positioning. So it's about challenge, credibility, and change. Number 1, what challenge are you trying to address? The reason why that's really important is because as a speaker, remember, you are a problem solver. You are a service-based business solving a problem. So you have to ask yourself, what challenge do I want to try and solve? What problem do I want to solve? There are 2 types of challenges. One is a mission critical challenge and one is a non-urgent challenge. If you're trying to solve a challenge that is mission critical, you'll be put on the main stage. if you're trying to solve a challenge that is non-urgent, you'll be put in a breakout room. And that's why it's really important that you try and make your challenge mission critical for organizations. So whatever your story is, whatever the thing you're passionate about, think about how and why this is really urgent for an organization. Once you've decided that, the next C is credibility. Hey, you've been watching for a while. I know you're enjoying it. So please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. Back to the video. Why are you the right person to try and solve this challenge? Is it through lived experience? Is it through the clients that you've worked with? Is it through the research that you've done? And it's really important to show why you are the right person for this. Remember that speaking is an incredibly competitive market. So that second C in credibility is really important. And the third C when it comes to positioning is change. What change will people have following hearing your presentation? Remember, you've always got in mind that you're delivering some sort of transformation. By allowing yourself to position yourself in these three C's, then you can take what you currently want to speak about and actually monetize from it, because you're going to be creating a presentation that people want to pay for. Okay, so I've just run upstairs to grab some resources to help you understand the power and importance of positioning. When someone asks you, what do you speak about? You should no longer say, hey, my name is X and I speak about Y. So in my case, I will no longer say, hey, my name is Frederick and I speak on communication skills. And we have a new way of answering that question via these three C's. So remember, the first C stands for what challenge are you solving? The second C stands for what's your credibility? And the third one, what change will you have? So if someone asks me, what do you speak about? I speak about the challenge. I help leaders and corporations get better at speaking and communicating. This is really important because you will always be perceived at your level of communication, meaning if you know all this information, but you can't articulate it to the team, then as a result, your team won't perform as well. Number two, credibility. I'm the perfect person to speak on this because at 12 years old, I moved to this country. I had absolutely no understanding of English and I was really shy and introverted. And I've gone from that shy immigrant kid to an individual that has now worked with some of the biggest organizations in higher education, like the London School of Economics and King's College London. Part three, change. Following my visits, these organizations experience new energy. These organizations have less meetings because the meetings are a lot more fruitful because people can communicate better, and they are actually able to close more clients because people are better at higher stakes communications. And that's exactly what I do. Now, this information then needs to be put on your website. It needs to be put on your one pager. It needs to be put on your LinkedIn, because you want to be known via these three C's. This is the positioning that you need for the right people to find you. The key thing about positioning is that it helps event organizers, speaking agencies, and speaking bureaus identify that you are the right person for their event. Imagine me saying, I help people with their communication skills versus part two of what I just said before. Part two is going to help them understand straight away if I'm the right person for them. When trying to define a challenge, it's really important that you try and quantify how important this challenge is. So, on to number one, I help leaders get better at speaking and communicating. Answer two, I help leaders get better at speaking and communicating, which is really important because without it, they can be losing out on serious business. Okay, so I've helped them understand the challenge, but I've quantified the challenge and have helped them understand what does that challenge mean to me. In your case, you might help people with their time management. Rather than just saying I help individuals with their time management, quantify that problem and help them understand what happens if people don't work on their time management. Okay, so that's for the first C. Try and quantify it. For the second C, credibility, social proof and testimonials are everything. The more social proof you have, the more testimonials you have, the more people can advocate for you, the more the next person's going to trust you. And as I always say, we always look at our reviews. Before you buy anything, especially if it's a high ticket, especially if it's something that's going to be over £1,000 if it's a service, you're going to try and look at the reviews to see the previous people that have done it. And people are going to do the exact same thing for you. What's also important in the credibility part is that you start to create your own frameworks. You'll notice that all of the best speakers, they actually have their own frameworks, whether it's the three C's of positioning, whether it's the other frameworks that I've shared. Try and speak in frameworks and try and create these frameworks because that also adds to your credibility. And when it comes to the final C, change, try and quantify that as well. So try and quantify what change will organizations have following your visit. There are two ways you can quantify these. One, on a human level, how is it going to help individuals on the organization? And then two, from a business level, how's the business going to change from your talk? In my case, I help people get better at articulating their ideas. On a human level, it's going to help people in team meetings. It's going to help them put their hand up and be able to articulate those ideas. It's going to help individuals go to clients feeling a lot less anxious. On a business level, it's going to improve retention because people are going to be able to have difficult conversations. As a result, they're not just going to leave. And it's going to make the organization more money because they're going to be able to accept, or they're going to be able to onboard more clients as a result of this skill. So that's an example. Positioning as a speaker is everything because it's how you differentiate yourself. In a market where one speaking agent has over 10,000 speakers, what's going to separate you from other people? And how do we know that you are any different? And it's all in your positioning. You could be saying the exact same thing as me, but you should be saying it in your unique way. So think about these 3 C's of positioning. What challenge are you solving? What's your credibility? And what's the change that's going to happen after your talk? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with a friend that perhaps wants to get into speaking.